Well, hi everyone. Welcome to 10 York Road, our flagship building in London, and actually the largest WeWork in the world. My name's Aaron. I lead on business development here at WeWork, and we are delighted to have you all here to join us. Good to see so many faces, and I think we've got another 350 people joining us online. And I'm sure it's going to be a very interesting and informative evening. I think the fact that there's so many of you here and joining us online demonstrates just how good a platform WeWork is to bring companies together and talk about the topics such as this that will impact the future of work and business in general. And we're doing this in partnership with General Purpose, who are the leading AI training company. If you could just give me an aside about General Purpose for a minute. I first attended the AI Essentials workshop back in, I think, February this year. And since that date, in fact, within minutes of being at that workshop, I was absolutely certain that we had to have all of their future workshops at WeWork locations because it was so informative and so essential to what we were talking about and current. I think since February, we've had over 25 sessions at our WeWork locations in London, and we'll have many more to come over the next few months. But every person I know that's been to those, hundreds of WeWork members, non-members, employees, everyone comes out with massive praise and is in awe of how productive and positive it is as well. You may have seen that WeWork are doing several AI activations at the moment, whether it's special offers for people who are in AI startups or hosting AI work days across the globe in London, New York, and San Francisco. But I think it's the partnership with General Purpose really demonstrates how we're able to bring small businesses together to a larger audience, through a vast ecosystem. So, on to the main event. Today's topic, small business in the age of AI, threat or opportunity. We're going to delve into how small businesses can leverage the power of AI and the opportunity it presents to make a difference to their business. There'll be a keynote address from Tom Hewitson, who's the co-founder and chief AI officer at General Purpose. And that's going to be on the productivity potential of AI. We'll follow this by a panel discussion where we'll hear from 3 small business owners who will discuss how they started their AI journey. And that will be moderated by General Purpose's co-founder and CEO, Barry White. We are genuinely delighted to have them and the panel speakers here with us today. And I'm sure it's going to be a very thought-provoking and informative evening. With that, I'll hand it over to Tom from General Purpose.
Thank you very much, Aaron. And by the way, I just want to say thank you to Aaron and the rest of the WeWork team. You guys are absolutely awesome. They didn't. There we go. They didn't prime me to say anything nice, but honestly, WeWork have been incredible to us. They have turbocharged our business, and honestly, since we moved into this building, just the kind of the momentum that we've built has been amazing, and that is in no big part thanks to, or in no small part, I should say, thanks to WeWork. So thank you very much, WeWork. So anyway, small business in the age of AI, is it a threat or is it an opportunity? I'm going to try to cover it I've got about 15 minutes and a lot of slides, so I'm going to go fast. Nice to meet you. I'm Tom. As Aaron said, I am the Chief AI Officer of General Purpose. I have been working in the AI space for about the last 10 years. And with large language models, the things that power the generative AI revolution, for about 2 years, which is about the length of time that they've really existed as anything more than a curiosity. Now, I always like to point out that I didn't actually study computer science at university. I actually have an arts background. I started my career as a journalist. I like to say that journalists were the original prompt engineers because they were asking wet large language models, i.e. humans, questions in order to get good answers. Yes, one of the kind of the key messages that we like to try and get across at General Purpose is that everyone can be an AI expert and that everyone has a right to have an opinion on how AI should be used and to make sure that AI is being used well. So Why general purpose? This is a question we get sometimes. Why call yourselves general purpose? What is general purpose? Well, when a truly transformational technology appears, such as the steam engine or electricity, that is known in the academic literature as a general purpose technology. And it is our opinion, and not just our opinion, the opinion of many other people who study innovation, that AI, and specifically the generative AI tools like large language models, are a new general purpose technology. They are going to change everything about how we live our lives and how we work. And Barry and I were talking about this about a year ago. It's has been 1 year and 1 week, so congratulations. And we were saying, hey, this is going to change a lot of people's lives, and we want to make sure that it changes people's lives for the good rather than the ill. And the way to do that is by empowering people to shape the future as it happens, rather than for it to be something that happens to them. And what better way to do that than by giving them the skills and the knowledge to be able to have an influence over the course of events. So that's how we ended up doing AI training. So what's happening and why? Well, I've alluded to some of this. I've talked about kind of generative AI, but AI has actually been a part. AI has been with us forever. For as long as humanity has existed, there are examples of humans thinking and worrying about artificial life, going right back to the ancient Greeks. And it's really, really interesting to kind of understand that the way that we think about kind of AI is very much shaped by this kind of historical baggage. And in the past, or, you know, AI has been a big part of our kind of myths and legends. In the kind of the more recent past, in the last kind of 15 years, it has been with us, but it's been a very different form of AI. It was what's known as machine learning, and you needed a legion of data scientists in order to do it. So self-driving cars, I mean, hands up if you use social media at all. Yeah, powered by AI. Anyone use Google? Yep, also powered by AI. But you had to be a big tech company in order to take advantage of AI. And that kind of left small businesses out in the cold a little bit. There wasn't so much you could do. You didn't have data scientists. You didn't have vast troves of data. And that's why generative AI is so much more transformational, because of this concept of emergence. When we invented these large language models, they were just designed to predict the next word. It was basically a fancy predictive text for your phone, but it turned out that it was also very good at writing a marketing memo or solving a logic puzzle. And that was not an expected behavior. It was a bit of a surprise when it first happened. And that's what makes large language models so interesting. They can do things that we didn't plan for them to be able to do without needing additional training. And that is why they are so powerful and interesting to us as the kind of end users of these technologies, because we can take one of these systems and we can just say, hey, here's my specific use case, do something for it without needing to specifically train it. And so it has brought the kind of the AI revolution into the grasp of the rest of us. So why does it matter? Well, or why does it matter to small businesses that they get on board with this? We see from our own data that 100% of people that come on our classes say that AI makes them more productive, on average saving them 49 minutes a day. So, you know, significant kind of productivity savings. Almost half of them, 42%, say that it is saving their company money. 2/3 of them say that they have used AI to create additional value for their organization or mitigate risk. But it's not just us that say this. The Small Business Council last year did a report. Again, 2/3 of small businesses said that AI was helping them to compete with big companies. Think about that. That in the past, all the power was with the big organizations who had the highly skilled, specialized workforce, and AI is leveling the playing field. I think that's really, really interesting. And one of my favorite statistics is the UK government estimates that over the next 20 years, there's going to be 50% more companies, so 50% new companies set up due to AI. There is going to be a literal flourishing of startups over the next 20 years driven by AI. And Barry will also attest to this, that the fact that we can use ChatGPT at any time of the day or night to answer all sorts of complex and difficult problems has earned itself the title of our third co-founder. So yes, for a small business, it really is the secret sauce. So I'm going to talk briefly about how small businesses can get started using AI. Now, there's a good chance that as a small business, you're probably already doing some of these. So I've tried to cover a wide range of things, and I'm going to go fast because there's quite a lot of them. But hopefully there will be something new in there for you. So, market research. We all know that in order to have a successful business, we have to understand our market, and AI can really speed this up. First off, you might be familiar with this tool. This is my personally favorite AI tool. It's called Perplexity. It is a smart search engine. You ask a question, it checks the internet, reads the various web pages, and then gives you a nice summary. And this is amazing for doing research on new problem areas, on new hypotheses, on new markets that you might want to go into. You can get into the subject much, much faster than you could previously. Customer interviews. We all know that we should be doing more customer conversations. There's a lot of information and data in there, but actually turning that into something useful can be quite challenging. Now, we can use meeting AI assistants to transcribe them and then summarize them. This is TLDV, which is general purpose, is our favorite tool, but there are lots of others out there like Fathom or Otter. But yeah, this is a really effective way to kind of get better data from your customer. Role-playing focus group. We do this in our training sessions. We get people to set up a focus group discussing some kind of project that they're doing. Here I've set up one using ChatGPT. I mean, you can do this with any large language model tool or any AI assistant, but ChatGPT is the most famous, discussing how small business owners might consider using AI tools and what their concerns are. And when if you're thinking about selling a product, this is a really good way to get insight into the kinds of customers that you might want to work with and the kinds of concerns they're going to have. All right, content creation. This is probably the most obvious of the kind of the AI tools. It's the one that people are most kind of familiar with. How do I produce more content? Because as a business, I need to get noticed. And AI is really good at that. First draft, AI is not going to replace all of your writing. If you are just getting ChatGPT to write something and hitting publish, that is not a good way to either build a brand or get any SEO traffic. You know, you are going to need to do some work yourself. I've listed Claude here, which is a competitor to ChatGPT, largely because everyone's got familiar with what ChatGPT blog post sounds like, whereas Claude, because not so many people use it, it's a little bit more, a little less noticeable. So if you're going to use AI for content creation, Claude is the one to start with. Image research. You'll have noticed that all the images in the set. In fact, this exact image was a couple of slides ago, and in this slide deck, previously I would have had to have spent a lot of time doing image research and not being able to find quite the right thing that had the right licensing or whatever. With AI, able to save myself an awful lot of time. And then editing video. This is a tool called Descript. This is something that we use at General Purpose to produce informational videos. And the thing that I love about this, you record a video, upload it, transcribe it, and then you edit the video by editing the text. Once upon a time, editing video was something that was quite tricky to do. You needed specialized skills. Now it's something that anybody can do in 30 seconds. Absolutely brilliant, and video is the future for marketing. Right. Talking about marketing, let's see if we can take that a step further. So, Meta. I mean, you can have Lucia on the panel later, who's a Meta expert. But they are actually they are going to create all your ads for you and automatically test them, so that you don't have to do anything. You just say like, create me a campaign, and away it goes. And I think the world of advertising, if you don't have the in-house skills to be able to run an ad campaign, the threshold for doing that has just come way down. There's almost no excuse not to get started now. Automating follow-up campaigns. This is a MailChimp, probably the most famous of the email tools. You probably get these from some businesses where you get like a nice little follow-up 3 days after you've like bought something, and then another one after 6 days, because these things work. But creating them required a lot of skill and quite a lot of graft. And now MailChimp will do it all automatically for you. You just tell it what you want to create, the type of campaign you want to create, and it does it all for you, and then you just have to click approve, and you're ready to go. And for those that do sales, Pipedrive has an AI assistant that actually looks at your leads and looks at the kind of the behavior of your leads and helps prioritize which ones it thinks are most likely to convert. This is actually going to be really, really interesting, particularly for kind of companies that maybe don't do sales so much, that they haven't got that kind of in-house expertise, but now they can rely on the kind of broader ecosystem of salespeople's behavior that has trained the AI to know which ones they should be following up on first. All right, customer service, probably another thing that we think about a fair amount when we talk about AI. Keeping consistent tones. So one of the leading tools for kind of customer service, a service called Intercom, now has the ability to rewrite any messages before the customer service agent sends them out to be more friendly, more formal, like to expand it, like whatever. You can basically make sure that everybody's always getting the tone completely right. I used to work in customer service, and this would have been a complete godsend. Automating common requests, this is probably what you've thought of most. This is actually what I used to work in a natural language understanding in building chatbots. And so this is kind of the world that I came from, making automated chatbots. This is a tool called VoiceFlow. It is, in my opinion, the best of the kind of self-service tools that someone without a technical knowledge could use to create a chatbot that can answer common queries. And this is probably one of my favorite marketing tools. It's a service called In the Room, where you record videos of yourself answering different questions, and then people can talk to you, and it will play the videos back like they're having a conversation with you. And some small businesses, I was hearing a story about a company that sells solar panels. It's like 3 guys, small business, installs solar panels that had installed this so that they could show themselves whatever. And it had led to huge uptick in sales because it was so different from a normal website and could really like show their personality. And I think this is really, really interesting, and again, quite easy to get started with. All right, admin. This is my least favorite thing to do. It's not a secret that I don't like admin. So this is something that like probably quite a lot of you already do. Automating your invoices and expenses. There are tools out there like Dext and HubDoc, etc., where you can just email in the invoices. They automatically get processed and put into your account system. Again, something that used to take a lot of time now takes no time at all. So that's really useful. Sorting out, I'm also the kind of person that I never seem to have enough time in the day. I'm kind of rushing around the whole time. And if you're like me, this tool, Motion, is really neat because it looks at your calendar, figures out which meetings can be moved so that it can create space in your calendar, and then figures out what tasks are likely to take what length and puts them in your calendar so that you actually have time to do your deep work. And I think for anyone who kind of has lots of meetings here, there, and everywhere and just needs a little bit extra structure, this is a really, really useful tool, again, powered by AI. And creating reports. So again, something that some people are very good at. I happen to not be very good at it. Rose.ai, an AI spreadsheet tool where you can upload all your data as a CSV, and then you can literally just ask, how many purchases did we have last month? Or what was the total spend for like whatever? And this is the kind of thing that for small businesses where we just want to know the answer. How much money did I make last month? Or like, can I afford to hire someone new? I don't want to have to go and like try and like run 5 reports and then do a spreadsheet myself. I just want to be able to ask a question. And that is coming, and that's going to be a big time saver for us. So a couple of success stories from kind of people that we've worked with before we move on to the panel. So a vegan sweet manufacturer, you might know them. They actually stock their sweets in this building. And they have been using AI to help them actually make better decisions as a business. They are uploading data and information about what's going on in their marketplace and using ChatGPT to tell them, okay, like here's the things you could consider, here's what your potential strategy can be. They also do an awful lot of social media marketing, and it acts as a really good kind of brainstorming point to kind of to get them started thinking about what to do. It's not that your whole campaign is going to be created by AI. It's just that you can get started. It can get you over that kind of first hump. Second one, boutique recruitment firm. I think this is a really, really interesting one. They're an executive headhunting firm, and they've been using AI to help tailor candidate CVs to the specific job roles, because that's something that has a kind of big impact on whether the candidates actually get invited to interview. And actually, the thing that I find most interesting about what they're doing is that when candidates get rejected, which happens most of the time because for most applicants they're going to get rejected, the recruiters were putting it off, not because it was hard to send that rejection email, but because they didn't like doing it. It didn't make them feel good. And by getting AI to write the first draft of that rejection email, that actually helped remove that procrastination, and actually meant that it was written in a better tone. Actually, they were like, actually, this is more empathetic and nicer than I could have written myself, and it got them kind of over that hump, which then was actually a better candidate experience, because nobody likes sitting around waiting to hear whether you're going to have got the job or not. It's better to know that you haven't. And then finally, a sustainable property developer. So they've been using AI to help them submit planning permission, so helping to kind of go through all the requirements, make sure that submissions have got all the kind of right kind of information. They're thinking about how to do kind of press releases, or using AI to help them generate press releases for when they're doing new developments, and even to kind of explore how would like a particular journalist of the local newspaper likely report this development, so they can get a kind of head of like what the potential implications for the press might be, which again is super, super interesting. But those are just a couple of kind of high level examples. I know the panel are going to get into it a little bit deeper. So I'd like to introduce Barry, or get Barry on stage to come and introduce the panel. Barry, why don't you come on stage?
Thank you very much. We're going to have to grab some chairs. So could I get a little bit of help? Is this on? Yes, perfect. Thank you very much, Tom. That was really great. Tom's just given us a lot of tips for various AI tools that we can start using in the workplace tomorrow. But there's sometimes a bit of a disconnect between what people say and what people actually do. That's why I'm really excited to introduce this illustrious panel of small business owners to talk about how they're actually using AI in the workplace. And I'm pleased to say all three have been to our classes, and hopefully you can give us some reflections on that as well. To get us started, maybe we can just do some introductions. Craig, do you want to kick us off?
Sure. Yeah, my name's Craig. I have a wedding dress brand with my sister, which we started. I'm going to say 10 years ago, but really 7 years ago. And we've got now 6 shops across Australia and Europe, and about 220 retailers who are independent of us who sell our brand.
Fantastic. Becca?
Hiya. Is this on? Hi everyone, I'm Becca. I am a brand strategist, writer and founder of Magnus & Co, a verbal branding studio helping small businesses find their voice, their market and grow.
And Lucia?
Hi, can you hear me okay? Yeah. Hi, I'm Alicia. I help businesses grow their revenue through Facebook and Instagram advertising. I also support businesses on those frustrating meta issues like disabled ad accounts, Instagram accounts that have been taken down for no reason, etc. And I would say we're at the stage where we're a super small business. It's primarily me, and I have someone part-time helping on the operations side. So it's really beneficial to kind of have AI to help increase like the capacity and what we're able to do.
Thank you. So we've heard a lot about the potential of AI, but there's often a gap between the opportunity and actually making that opportunity happen. So I'd just love to dig into how you and your teams are actually using AI day to day in real life. And perhaps, Craig, you can set us off. It sounds like you have a retail business, you have shops. How does a business like that use AI?
So mostly it's for the admin side of things. In bridal and in the shops, we work with a lot of creative people and some very good salespeople, but maybe admin's not their strength. And we also working. I'm sure all of us as small business owners think we work with difficult customers, but I will I will challenge you that we might have the hardest, and it's quite an emotional time of their life and to respond to them over email, you really have to be careful in what you say. So we use ChatGPT a lot for responding to brides, and again, it's mostly just a first draft, but it gets us, probably 60% of the way there. It's all getting the tone right, making sure we're professional, and also, what Tom was saying, it's true. It's like a lot of those jobs people were procrastinating or maybe not doing straight away, but just having that first draft there sped the team up a lot. And then like another one, which is like really annoying small job to do, is reply to Google reviews. Someone's written you an amazing Google review. We're so grateful for all the time you've given us and the experience, and we loved it, and I'm going to remember it for the rest of my life, which is great, and we're so happy we're doing this. But when you're getting a lot of these and you're busy, it gets quite a tiresome job. So just to be able to whack that into ChatGPT, copy and paste, put it in, and everyone gets a nice, detailed, different answer. It goes a long way and speeds things up a lot.
Absolutely. And I think you touched on something there. You use, or your team uses ChatGPT to get 40% of the way there. A lot of the dialogue we have about AI is about robots replacing humans or AI taking people's jobs. And just thinking about your team, is anyone's job at risk?
No, absolutely not. And one thing I would say is actually, as a business owner, I'm actually take a lot of pride in providing good jobs with good salaries to people. And what this has allowed us to do is actually provide a better quality job to people. They're not doing that low level work. They can focus now on more interesting things by just utilizing AI to do those jobs they didn't want to do and no one really wants to do.
Yeah, so like getting rid of that grunt work that was actually the bane of lots of people's life.
Exactly.
Make their lives better. Exactly.
And as I said, they all enjoy their jobs more from not having to do that.
And how about you, Becca? Do you have a similar feeling? Does it take away your grunt work?
In some ways, yes. So I use AI a lot for image generation and image creation, as Tom mentioned in his presentation. So I use Midjourney and DALL-E for this. In my job, it's all about conveying ideas, communicating ideas, and bringing words and visuals together in order to communicate those ideas. And sometimes I'm looking for quite a specific image to communicate an idea. And I'm sure many people watching this and in the room will recognize this situation where you're looking for that specific image on Pinterest or Google search, and you're just trawling and you cannot find it. And before you know it, you've wasted like 4 hours of your life and you've gotten really annoyed. So I use it for image creation in those situations where I need to create I need a specific image to convey an idea. And it saves me so much time and it's fun. I enjoy creating the images, it's good. I also use it a lot for mood boarding, where it's not about a final crafted image, it's about a vibe. And Pinterest can be good for this, but I think working with sort of image content websites like Pinterest and Google Search and Midjourney as well to create a vibe, to convey an idea. It's not a final design, it's not a final crafted image. It's a starting point. It gets you off the starting blocks and it helps you communicate what you're trying to talk about, the kind of the concept that you're trying to convey to a client. So it saves a lot of time with that.
That makes a lot of sense. And it sounds a bit like the graphic or the visual version of what Craig was talking about.
Yeah.
So getting 40% of the way there.
Yeah.
I'm curious, as an art director, copywriter, would you ever actually use an AI-generated piece as the final client? No. Why not?
Definitely not. So by design, AI creates an average thing. That's how it's worked. That's what it's meant to do. So if you feel you are not a creative person, I would say everybody is creative, but if you feel you are not a creative person and you need to get an idea across quickly, you don't need it to be a final thing, then it's great. It's going to get you it's going to get you there. It's going to do what it needs to do for you. I, on the other hand, am a creative professional. This is my career. And I've been doing this for 13 years, so I can't put something in front of someone that is AI generated. Also, I would point out that I work in branding, and branding is about differentiation and distinction. It is about standing out for the right reasons. And AI is going to create an average thing. You cannot use it for branding. You cannot use it to create a differentiated brand, but you can use it to get you off the starting blocks.
Yeah, that makes sense. Someone once said to me that AI is really good at thinking inside the box.
Yes.
But in order to think outside the box, you still kind of need that bit of human crazy.
Yeah, you need the human flashes of brilliance, the crazy stuff. Here's to the crazy ones.
Yeah.
You need that. And AI is never going to do that. But it's going to get you off the starting blocks and it's going to give you something to work with. So that's how I would encourage people to use it, as something to work with, but not the end point, for sure.
That makes a lot of sense. Lucia, how about yourself? How do you find yourself using AI on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, so for me, helping brands scale up with Facebook ads have changed a lot over the years. So back in the day, you could kind of get away with like mediocre, creative and content, whereas now your content, your creative, your copy really needs to be at the next level. And it really needs to speak directly to the customer, and not just the general customer, the very specific customer pain points. And so what I use it for is exporting clients' reviews for their product, and then I'll upload that to ChatGPT and ask it to pull out what the top motivations people have for buying, what the top things people talk about in reviews. That was kind of the biggest surprises, pleasant surprises, and then I use that information to create content, create creatives, great copy to really speak to the pain points that people care about, rather than the pain points that my client has told me, this is the reason people buy, but it's not mentioned in the reviews at all. And so ChatGPT can say, actually, like out of 100 reviews or 1,000 reviews, actually 80% are mentioning this key buying motivator. And so I'll create content for the ads around that motivator and then test different copy variations around that as well. So that's really helped save me a lot of time on the ad side of things. And then for my business as well, I kind of use it just to help make decisions, have like a board of directors to help chat to and be a sounding board.
That's a really interesting thought, using AI as a sounding board and a sort of board of directors or an advisory board. Like what just to help some people in the room who maybe haven't done this, what does that look like in practice? How do you, I don't know, let's say you're having an issue with your cash flow. You don't have enough money in the bank this month. How does AI help you think about that?
Yeah, so I'm sure a lot of people here have people they follow on LinkedIn or on Instagram. Like for me, I really respect like Stephen Bartlett, for example, or Alex Hormozy. And so I'll say to ChatGPT, act like Stephen Bartlett, act like Alex Hormozy, appoint different people to my board. And sometimes it can be different depending on the problem I'm facing, right? So if it's a finance problem, I'll say to ChatGPT, I'm facing this finance issue. Can you help assemble a board to help me come up with the best solution? And then they can kind of talk to each other. So I can have Stephen Bartlett probably wouldn't be the best for finance, but Stephen Bartlett can be talking to Elon Musk, who could be talking to Alex Hormozy, all about LB marketing and how we get the best growth for our business, which is amazing. It's the next best thing from my perspective anyway.
A really fun thing to try if you've never done it. You can get ChatGPT to simulate a conversation. So you could get Stephen Bartlett and Elon Musk in conversation about your business and make some conclusions based on that. It's a really, really, really interesting thought experiment to try, and I totally encourage everyone to give it a pop. But we've just been talking largely about ChatGPT and a little bit of Midjourney. There's an entire swathe of AI tools out there, far too many actually to really process. So people often come to us for recommendations, and Tom shared some of his with you. I'm really curious, what AI tools do you use other than ChatGPT that you would recommend people in this room check out that might be useful to their businesses? Craig, do you have?
I mean, it's Midjourney is the other one, which you said. But just to explain, we're opening a shop in the Netherlands at the moment, and same to use trawling Pinterest to try and find the inspiration of the shop that we wanted. When we're trying to do bridal, which is very traditional, but trying to do it modern, it doesn't exist. It actually doesn't exist on Pinterest. So we could use that to show our architects and interior design, and this is the vibe we're going for. And also, we have actually used it to kind of like when you have writer's block, but when you have design block on a wedding dress, like just come up with something cool and interesting. We have used Midjourney just to very much a starting point, because a lot of the stuff, it doesn't actually make sense, but it does get you started. And we have used it to come up with some products.
Just for the benefit of anyone in this room who hasn't had the pleasure of using Midjourney, it's my favorite AI tool, by the way. For anyone who's not had the pleasure of using Midjourney, could you maybe just explain what Midjourney is?
I mean, you're just putting in prompts to generate an image, really, and then you can refine it and make tweaks to it to get to where you need to be.
So you can just enter a concept for a store and boom, it's there. Yeah. And Becca, how about yourself? Any non-ChatGPT tools that you love and would recommend?
I have many non-ChatGPT tools that I like. So the one I wanted to talk about is Perplexity that Tom mentioned. So in brand strategy, one of the things that when you get a new project is you kind of take a macro look at the industry that you're looking at. Now, I'm not an expert I'm not a deep expert in any industry. I'm very much a generalist. But when I take on a new project, I want to kind of do a deep dive in desk research. And before I use Perplexity, this stuff could take me a couple of days to surface the right reports, look at the right things, find the right people to talk to. It takes a long time. But with Perplexity, you can just ask it, for example, what are the challenges of training in AI? What are the challenges? What are the opportunities? And it will surface white papers and expert articles for you and it will provide links to them as well, so you can just go through and see where it's got stats from. It will also pull out the most pertinent information. Now that saves a hell of a lot of time, but you also know that this information is real. When you ask ChatGPT, it will surface stats for you, but you don't know if they're hallucinations or not. And when you actually look them up, you're like, oh, great, that's not true. That company doesn't exist. Wonderful, thank you, ChatGPT. It wastes quite a lot of time. Whereas Perplexity does not, and it pulls out good quality white papers from places like Accenture and also expert blog articles that you wouldn't necessarily look at yourself. I've found new things through doing that. And just to give you like a really concrete example of how much time that saved, I recently did a deep dive into Audi. I don't know anything about cars. I don't even know what make the car I drive is. I know absolutely nothing about cars. And my partner is in the audience and he can absolutely attest to this. So I recently did a deep strategic audit for Audi, And that would normally have taken me about 2 to 3 days. And I got loads of information using Perplexity and ChatGPT as well as, oh yeah, another tool is IdeaApe, which mine's Reddit for behavioral stuff. So between IdeaApe and ChatGPT and Perplexity, I managed to do the audit in one day. So it literally saved me a whole day of work, which was great.
You just taught me something. I've not even heard of IdeaApe.
IdeaApe's great.
I'm going straight to my phone to check that out next. Perplexity, the other tool that Becca mentioned, if anyone's not tried it, perplexity.ai, you will never use Google again.
Honestly, you really won't.
You really won't, yeah. And Lucia, how about yourself?
Yeah, so I have 2 outside of ChatGPT that I probably use every day. The first one is Firefly's AI. So it joins all of my calls, all of my meetings, and transcribes the meeting and then summarizes the action points, my actions, client actions. So it's really helpful if I'm working on something and then I need to come back and reference some part of the call. Before I might have had to email back and forth, and now I can just review the transcript, which is super helpful. And then the second one, which I love, is called Pi. I am one of those people that has like 10,000 ideas every minute, and it's very hard sometimes to organize my own thoughts. And ChatGPT, I find often I have to like type things, and sometimes I just want to speak to someone or something. And so Pi is like an audio AI tool where you can chat to it, and so I'll just kind of do like a brain download of my 10,000 thoughts, and it will organize my thoughts for me that I can then email to myself. So it will say like top actions for tomorrow is X, Y, Z, and it just helps take like what can be quite messy sometimes in my head and just organize my thoughts and information. And the other thing I love about Pi is it's actually compatible with WhatsApp. So I can voice note it on WhatsApp, but I can also forward voice notes from other people into Pi and ask it to write down what this person has said. So an example that's slightly not work-related, but one of my best friends is getting married, and I'm organizing her hen do, and she's very particular, and she sent me a long voice note about the exact foods that she wanted. She's like Italian, and everything had to be very specific. And I forwarded it to Pi because it was just like this specific type of mozzarella, this specific type of whatever, and it was just too much. And it just transcribed and summarized what exact things I needed to buy and where I could get them from which shop. And it just saved me from having to re-listen to this 5-minute voice note over and over and over again. It just saved me so much time and energy just to kind of type it all out for me.
Dealing with difficult friends, that's a use case for AI, like seriously. And actually, I started using Pi for the first time yesterday after we had the chat. And honestly, it's one of those like mind-blown moments, kind of like when I first used ChatGPT. Highly recommended to everyone. We're going to go to the audience for questions in a couple of minutes, so have a think if you have anything you want to ask the panel or ask Tom. But before we do that, I just wanted to end on a slightly human note and ask about how AI makes you feel. Because I think there's a lot of narrative right now around fear, jobs being displaced, etc. And we've touched on some of those themes already. Becca, how does AI make you feel as a creative person and surrounded by all your sort of creative peers?
There's a lot of trepidation in the creative industry at the moment about AI. There is excitement, but I think it's limited at the moment. I think particularly for companies bringing in juniors, we are seeing that a lot of the tasks that we would train juniors on in order to learn their craft are now being outsourced to AI, and they haven't been replaced yet, those tasks. So like the role of like, how are we going to train our juniors? How are we going to bring new people into the craft? That is something that quite a lot of agencies that I know are working on and struggling with at the moment. But it is changing our jobs. At the same time, when ChatGPT first came out, I was told I would lose my job as a copywriter. They'd be like, right, well, you're going to go to you've got to get on benefits, aren't you? I was like, charming. But I'm not. And I don't think it's going to take my job anytime soon. But I think it is changing the way that we work, and it is changing the nature of the role and the industry is yet to catch up. So there is definite trepidation. But at the same time, I'm cautiously optimistic overall, because I believe I really fervently believe in the power of human creativity, and that cannot be replicated or replaced by AI. So I don't believe that any of us will be permanently out of the job, but I do think we need to embrace the tools, human and AI, working together rather than versus AI.
So our theme is threat or opportunity.
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 Opportunity with a bit of threat, but that's on us to solve.
And, we talked a bit about fear, trepidation there. The other emotion that we often come across is overwhelm. And Lucia, do you have any thoughts on that feeling of overwhelm?
Yeah, definitely. I think at the beginning, even up until a few months ago, I was so overwhelmed by all the latest AI updates. I was constantly seeing like LinkedIn posts saying like, you're missing out, you're going to lose your job unless you adapt to this, you're going to lose your business unless you adapt to this. And I was just getting to the point where it just felt like a distraction rather than actually helping me in my day-to-day. And I had an amazing conversation with my friend, also went to a general purpose workshop, which totally helped me reframe how I was looking at it. And so rather than trying to keep up with all of the updates, all of the tools, I just tried to focus on like, what do I do in my day-to-day now? What does my business do right now? And how can I use AI to be 5% better today, 10% better tomorrow? And that over time compounds, I think, into something huge and a huge opportunity. But I think for me, if I'm constantly trying to chase all the latest updates, it's moving so fast, it gets very overwhelming and it's just way too much. But just focusing on each day, improving the efficiency of what I'm doing with AI makes it focused to my business and get value out of my business today rather than in a year.
Small incremental improvements on a daily basis. I love that. And Craig, lots of small business owners in this room. If people haven't yet started to use AI in their work, how do they get started? What should they do tomorrow?
I mean, I'm very much from a non-tech background. We really sell a product and a physical product. And I was a bit not apprehensive. AI is happening. It's got nothing to do with me. And I did attend a general purpose course in the early days. And just the light switch went on and I realized, oh, wow, there's opportunity here. And I also then I sent my team for a course, and they are all non-tech people, and they all came back and were using AI the next day. So, it is just understanding what can be done. It can definitely help you, AI, for sure. It's just understanding.
Experiment and play around.
Exactly, yeah.
Excellent. We've got a bit of time for questions. I think there's 7 minutes. So does anyone in the audience have anything they'd like to ask out of the panel or questions for Tom? And one just there in the middle. And I think this gentleman's going to...
Hello. Yep.
Hi.
You correctly referenced a lot of use cases where AI is like 50, 60% there. But I would argue there is use cases today like translation for non-legal content where it's 95 or 90% there if you prompt correctly. Do you see like other applications or examples where it's actually really close to actually having the full use case already?
I think coding is probably a great example. So coding was a sort of the entire developer industry really was an early adopter of AI. GitHub Copilot was released around, I think, 9 months before ChatGPT. And I think in its first year, developers became something crazy like 65% more productive. And I think actually, if you look at what's happened in that space of software development and try and transpose that to marketing, sales, account management, you really see that potential. So yeah, I'd say it's probably there in software development and it's maybe getting there in legal. And I think other industries that maybe move at a slightly slower pace will catch up. Does anyone have any other thoughts on that one? Nope. Nope. Down here? Nope.
Thank you. We all want to recruit the best talent. Now, how does the use of AI in CV writing impact the job application process for both candidates and employers?
Who's hiring? Craig, I feel like you've hired people recently.
Yeah, and through LinkedIn with not much success. And to be honest, we've gone the other way where we now just have our doors are open, walk in for an interview, which works actually better than anything else. So I'm probably not the right person to answer this.
That's interesting, actually. Do you think that happened because of AI? Because it's so commoditized.
I don't know enough, but when you put ads out there, you get when you put a job up, you get too many responses, and people aren't. You can tell they've not read it. You know, we do quality control on our dresses, and we're getting all these scientists apply, and it was just too easy for people to apply. So it hasn't been that helpful. And I don't know how LinkedIn's working, but it's too easy to apply for jobs at the moment that way.
Yeah, that's a story I've actually heard from quite a lot of people. It's now so easy to hyper-personalize your CV to match a particular role description that recruiters are just inundated, getting thousands of applications, and you have this sort of weird situation where both the robot writes the job application and then reviews it, and I'm not quite sure where that situation ends up. Well, actually, it probably ends up in an open door and like pop in if you want a job, right?
Yeah, so for us, that we just use. I mean, I guess we would use the social media aspect to advertise the job, and when we just say, you know, the door's open, come for an interview between these sort of times on these days, and that's definitely given us the best quality of candidate.
Excellent. Up there at the back.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for the talk. And my question, I have two questions. The first aspect is related to concerns around cybersecurity. You're using AI for recruitment and other things. There are concerns around shadow AI, things like cybersecurity and data protection. How can small businesses prepare for that, at least to ensure that the details of people that come to them, whether as customers or candidates, are kept safe and all of that? Then the second aspect of my question is related to disinformation. So we see that cybersecurity, rather we see that AI, particularly like deep fakes, is increasingly being used to target small businesses, or it could be used to target small businesses or their owners. For example, there is a recent incident in the US where a principal was targeted with deepfake, and what we saw was that the voice of the principal was mimicked, and it caused a lot of concern. So in relation to small businesses, these businesses could be targeted. How can they prepare for such situations and ensure that they are able to attend to such instances? It could be from competitors. It could be from a disgruntled ex-employee. How can they prepare?
Great question. Very briefly on your first question about security guardrails, very simply, premium versions of most AI tools, for example, ChatGPT Plus, ChatGPT Teams, have more data protection, which helps keep your customer data, for example, under your own control. But there's a sort of long answer to that, which is slightly less pithy. Around deep fakes, does anyone on the panel have any thoughts on that subject? Or
Okay, with deepfakes, first thing, agree a safe word with your family now. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, this is something that we need to do. I already have one with my family that if they ring me up and ask for money, that I know I can say what's the safe word, because this is already happening. In fact, they are particularly targeting elderly people who are the only people that still own home phones and can be rung up, cloning their grandkids that are off backpacking, and cloning the voice of their grandkids that are off backpacking and asking for money. So yeah, like deep fakes are a big problem, and 2024 is the year of the most elections ever held, and our society's democracy is not ready for what AI is going to do to it, unfortunately. As humans, I mean, there was a study that came out last week, like, it's a 50-50 chance whether we can spot a deep fake. Like, the people just can't actually spot them. They're too good now. And there's almost nothing as individuals that we can do. This is kind of like the onus is really back on like the companies and government, and realistically it's on government because there aren't any easy technical solutions to this. So there's more of a like, okay, are we going to have to ban some kinds of usages until there is a technical solution? Unfortunately there is no really good answer to the deepfake problem at the moment.
So thank you very much for the insights and use cases, which were amazing. It's not actually a question, so I feel like I'm cheating. It's a bit of a comment and response to that. So I went to a conference last week on technology and HR, and I can't believe I'm doing this, but this is about the opportunity for deepfakes, and it's things like evergreen content. So if you were doing any kind of training, any standard operation procedures, anything in compliance, you can get any one of your team to record it, and it can be edited. So if you update your processes, it can be edited instantly just with a prompt. So what you have is content that is evergreen, and it's going to transform the training landscape. There are so many kind of exceptional use cases for deepfakes. You've got chatbots that are now transformed into actual avatars that respond to you in real time. So instead of kind of going to that chatbot and asking, all the, that's one of your use cases, right? So use it for the chatbots to kind of answer commonly asked questions. They now do that with an avatar of the CEO of the company. It's extraordinary, the capacity that it has. So while there are, of course, lots of dangers, there are amazing use cases being applied now, and so many companies available now for you to make this kind of content.
Thank you very much. I think we need to run our next event on deepfakes. Like, it feels like there's a demand there. It is now time for drinks. I hope you can all stay. Thank you all so much for coming. I'd like to thank all of our panel. And just end on a final note. So we've talked a lot about whether AI is a threat or an opportunity. It probably doesn't surprise you that we very much believe AI is an opportunity. And we don't like this idea of AI taking people's jobs. We love the idea that Craig alluded to, and Becca alluded to, and Lucia alluded to, where AI can just make you a better version of yourself. AI can take away a lot of your grunt work and just let you live a better life, be more productive, and produce better output. That's kind of what we do at our AI classes. So if you fancy coming and joining us, scan that QR code, 50% off for people in this room tonight. What a bargain. You can also sign up to our email list as well. Threat or opportunity? Could I just get a sense? Craig, threat or opportunity?
Bit of threat.
Opportunity.
And threat? Opportunity. Hey, excellent. Thank you very much. And drinks are just outside. Thank you for joining us.